to the Findlay Community Talk Show. We're off-site today with Rich Lettman. We are super excited. We're at Black Mountain Bistro. And let me tell you what, if you're looking for a place to get in, out of the heat, enjoy a delicious salad, their salmon's amazing. You ever eat here?
I have all the time.
Oh, gosh. If you're looking for a good meeting spot or just meeting your friends, it's a good spot, so you should check them out. The coffee is delicious. How's your water?
It's excellent with lemon.
Too early for cocktails, Rich.
I
Maybe
get it.
later.
Got it.
Thank you so much for coming to the show today.
You're welcome. I'm glad to be here.
So if people don't know, you are running for the County Supervisor District 2.
Correct.
Right here in Bullhead City.
Correct.
This isn't your first go-round of running.
No.
Let's go back a few years.
Oh, how about a few decades? Okay, back into the 1980s, when I lived in California, Northern California, I was on a city council in a little town called Pittsburgh. It's not little anymore.
No.
It's part of the Bay Area over by Antioch and Concord. And I was on the city council for 4 years and a mayor for 1 year.
Look at that. So this is not your first go-round. Mm-hmm. What got you into running again? I mean, the love of the town, I'm assuming. Yes,
very, very much so. And my desire, once we knew that Hildy Angus was going to run for Arizona State Senate, that seat opened up. I think Mayor D'Amico originally had planned. He started making alternate plans, and I said, this is a logical place for me to be as a retired business executive. I'm the kind of guy you probably want up there in Kingman helping run this show. We're talking 1,800 employees, $600 million budget. I think I have the background to handle that.
I can do this.
Yeah, I can.
Woo! Let's talk a little bit about why they should vote for you. I mean, voting's coming up pretty soon. July 3rd is when you...
I think early voting starts July 3rd. The actual election, for those who choose to wait until Election Day, is July 30th. Okay, so we're actually about a little under 7 weeks away from the Election Day itself. We're only like 3 weeks away from the start of early voting. So
that's a lot of pressure.
That's all right.
It's game time.
It is game time. I'm up to this game.
Well, I'm excited that you're here today. Let's talk a little bit. You really talk a lot about fighting for Bullhead City.
Absolutely.
What does that mean?
That means I've been on the city council now for 13 months. I was appointed to replace Norma Brummett after she passed away. She also lived up in Arroyo Vista Estates where I live. And
hey, I'm your neighbor.
Fighting for Bullhead City means to have an understanding that up in Kingman, a lot of decisions are made that impacts our city. And I love living here. I love this community. I love what it stands for. I love the people. It is a conservative red area. I embrace that. That is who I am. Okay, and I want to continue that fight to make sure we get what is needed for our city from the county and the state, and a lot of that happens by coordinating the relationship between the Board of Supervisors and the City Council and the mayor and the city manager of the city. And I have told people repeatedly on my iPhone when I set up the speed dial, once I'm up there as a supervisor, the first speed dial button will be the mayor of Bullhead City, because he's the partner. We got to make things happen. We're in a battle, so to speak, to get available funding for this city, and there has got to be a strong relationship between the city and the county. By the way, the second speed dial button will be the city manager, okay?
Look at that.
The third speed dial button will be Hildy Angus, Arizona State Senator down in Phoenix, because that's pretty important too.
That's very important.
Yeah, so that's what fighting for Bullhead City is all about. Just making sure we get our fair share, because we do subsidize the unincorporated areas. So when you're paying property tax, the property tax that goes to the county, 60% of that is going to the Mojave County Sheriff's Office. Last time I checked, we don't have a lot of sheriff's deputies roaming around Bullhead City because we have our own police department. So we are effectively subsidizing law enforcement in Fort Mojave, Mojave Valley, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. But I'm going to tell you, when it comes to the movement of money between the city and the county, there's a lot more outflow going to the county than there is inflow coming back, okay? Now, we have court buildings, we have a judicial system, a health department. They are here in Bullhead City. But nevertheless, the vast bulk of the money you and I pay in our property tax to the county is leaving Bullhead City.
I had no idea.
That's right.
I'm glad that you're out there fighting for us.
I am.
Does that kind of come into the red and green pin?
It sure does, because one of the things I believe in fighting goes back to a technique I was taught in the 1970s when I first started working for a company that would later be acquired by Macy's Corporation. It was a department store. Before all of the computers and everything, our budgeting tool literally was a printout and red and green pens. And I can remember the boss telling me, you're going to get out the red pen, you're going to mark this thing up, or you're going to cut. Because despite all the weeping and wailing you hear, generally speaking, there's always a way to pay for a budget cut. But then there's the green pen, and that's how you grow revenue. Okay, so you just can't keep cutting all your life as a business or as a county. You've got to have ways to create revenue. So I would apply the same principle towards the operation of the county. Are there areas we could probably be cutting? Sure there is. And I've identified 2 or 3 specifically that I would take a very big look at. Everything from the Mojave County Fairgrounds, I'm not saying we'd close it, but I think there are ways to improve that, monetize a little bit of the assets that are up there, that open vacant land, and we create a fairground that we're proud of instead of one with rundown buildings.
Getting more people to town.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's the green pin, and that is, how do you increase the revenue for the county? Well, there's only one way. We don't have a sales tax. We're the only county in Arizona without its own sales tax. The city has the sales tax, and the state has one. So we get the green pin out, and we have to grow the property tax base. So that is the one area where the county gets a good amount of its money from, and that is, as new buildings go up, okay, as structures are sold, whatever it is, the property tax rate, a base on that parcel goes up as you put a building on it. So growth in a really well-managed way is something we want to do, okay? Ideally, for the county, you would want all the growth in the 4 incorporated cities. Well, that's not realistic because, once again, those cities provide money for sheriff's deputies, and the sheriff's deputies aren't in the 4 cities, they're in the unincorporated areas. But we'll have a lot of growth in the unincorporated areas, which means as we grow out there, we need to add more sheriff's deputies. So there's other long-term solutions for the green pen. Part of it is starting the process to encourage our friends in Fort Mojave and Mojave Valley. So basically that area from Sterling Road down to the Needles Bridge, and you got to pull out all the tribal areas, encourage them to start looking at self-incorporation, where they become their own city down there. And they have their own police department and their own planning and zoning commission and their own mayor. Their mayor today, who's really a supervisor, he lives in Yucca. Okay, their city council meets 70 miles away in Kingman, Arizona. It's called the Board of Supervisors. That's the process we have in place. A long-term solution, and it's like 6 to 8 years to happen. Okay, is really for Fort Mojave and Mojave Valley to come together and self-incorporate and be in charge of their own destiny. Yeah. And by the way, get Mojave County out of the business of running Fort Mojave and Mojave Valley and deploy those sheriff's deputies eventually into other unincorporated areas that will never become cities that need the coverage.
That's a lot.
Yeah, well, that's 50 plus years of business experience at play. Yeah.
Well, and very important with where you're running for, and like back to fighting for Bullhead, and you know what's deserving. Let's talk about, I mean, there's a lot of focus on roads right now, and you know, we are growing. That no one can deny that.
Right.
What is your take on kind of all of that?
Okay, so, you know, there's a lot of chatter. We obviously need to reduce the flow of traffic on Highway 95. You have one major north-south arterial through the Colorado River Valley. That's Highway 95 on the Arizona side of the river. You have a minor arterial on the California and Nevada sides. It's called the Needles Highway. That's not a practical way to get around.
We're connected.
Yeah. However, we are connecting those two with our new bridge.
We are.
And that roadway that goes from the bridge out to the Needles Highway. And that's a great little solution, by the way, to get a good amount of traffic off the Parkway and off Highway 95. But it's not the end-all solution at all. So there's an organization that has just been created called the MPO, Metropolitan Planning Organization, federally mandated traffic, transportation, Bullhead City, supervisor for District 5, that's Fort Mojave, Mojave Valley, and the supervisor for District 2. I am ready to get on this board for the MPO because I've been on the Mojave County Transportation Commission for a number of years. I think I kind of understand, some of the solutions to traffic. I certainly don't know everything, but I have ideas on about how we can attack this. And it could be as simple as, resurrecting the whole Vanderslice Road, Mountain View Road corridors. Now, everybody tells me, nope, that's never going to happen. It's dead. Let's just see.
It just has to happen.
Yeah,
really.
There's always a solution to these things, okay? I refuse to give up, even though all the naysayers say give up, because at some point, Highway 95 will hit a saturation point, and that will impact the development in Bullhead City and Fort Mojave. That's just the way it is. So we better start coming up with a plan B and a plan C.
We're all taking those back roads through, housing developments and stuff like that.
Through my neighborhood,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So something has to change, and anyone who's lived here a long time is very aware of
I agree.
that. I mean, when I moved here, it was a 2-lane road. We've expanded to a 4, but you can't really expand much more. So you have to find different avenues.
Yeah, you have to have responsible growth, and you have to have responsible transportation planning. I think I bring a lot to the table in that area, Christy, that I think I understand how to work through documents and do critical analysis, engaging in just really good critical thinking, coming up with alternatives and solutions to what we want to do.
Here's a question for him in the chat. If you want to read that too. Was it a little long, John Wilson?
Let's see. Wouldn't be better solution to, oh gosh, I can't even see. These lights are, to enhance business to come to the vacant county land based on tax cuts from them, which would create more jobs, which would generate more tax dollars over the needed expenses.
I would say a yes, yes, and yes to that. Okay, I don't know if it's the better solution. It's certainly a part of a large range of solutions. So whoever wrote that question, I think they're...
John Wilson from Finley.
Okay, they're kind of on board with what it takes to get expansion created. And I've often said, Christy, that what we really need around here are 3 big things. The first is rooftops. We need places for people to live. And I don't just mean expensive or moderate housing. We do need some low-income housing, okay? There's no question about it. I'm not sure how you define low-income housing today. That's a rough one. But we need that. We need infrastructure, okay? So we need more roads, okay? We're going to need power lines. We need power. We need gas lines. All this stuff has to go on. Better facilities along the Colorado River. And then finally, that all leads to good jobs, okay? And that requires development and investment, and sometimes there is a role for local government and state government to play in providing incentives, just like that question asked, okay, to stimulate the growth in the areas where there is available land, but critically, there has to be available infrastructure. So you better have power, and you better have an adequate road system, and the signalization of these roads, all this stuff, it all comes together, a master plan. But in the right way, you can provide incentives to put people and businesses on the vacant lands. That creates jobs, creates rooftops. That's a win-win for everybody.
Agreed. I think
that was a great question.
Good job, John Wilson. I think it's kind of scary when we start to see this area grow. I think you kind of get a little intimidated by it and want to kind of keep us small and pretty, but the truth of the matter is we are growing. This is happening. We are still seeing some of our small businesses close as we go through these challenges.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? How do you think that that's going to all play out?
Well, as a former small business owner myself, that is a high-risk situation. There's no question when I started my business up in 2011, and I sold it last year in October, boy, that was a tough time to get a business license and a startup in 2000. We were only 36, not even 36, 30 months out from this giant real estate crash that we had in 2008, 2009, and the resulting bankruptcies, foreclosures, the huge impact that had on the ability to create jobs, create businesses, and create small businesses. Okay, I went into a risky venture. I had retired from my career at Office Depot after many years. I was fortunate. I had capital that was available to me through my retirement program that enabled me to get into the marketplace at a really ideal time when others were not getting into the marketplace. Small businesses absolutely drive what is going on in our community. Now, don't get me wrong, we like big employers like Findlay, like Dot, okay? You know, medium-sized employers like the school district, Frito-Lay, their little warehouse down there. This just goes on, but small business is critical, and I'm not going to sit there and say that government should step in and rescue small business. There is a component of risk. That's what makes our free enterprise system and competition, which I view as a very good thing, okay? It makes it work, okay? And unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't always work, okay? But it's still a system that we have to support. We have to have economic development priorities and activities that support the creation of small business. I think I am all over that one, okay? As a small business owner myself, as a member of the city council, I get it. I understand that there are things we can do to help create small businesses and the resulting jobs. The vast overwhelming people in Bullhead City are employed by small businesses. And the casinos, okay? Yes. Let me qualify that, okay?
They are the big players, we know that.
Yeah, well, there's some other big players in town now. They're not the only ones.
Yeah. Well, I think it all goes back to us all supporting each other, which, you know, part of you being on the city council, you've been there for a while, you've learned a lot, you've been here a while. How does that all play into, you know, why people should vote for you and what kind of sets you apart?
Sure. I've only been on the city council 13, 14 months, okay, and my appointment after Norma Brummett died. And I think I've had a big impact on the city council. Like, I think those of you that watch the city council meetings, I'm the guy that kind of asks those really unexpected, introspective questions, and I like to do deep dive, okay, into kind of the weeds of what I would call it of when a book comes in front of us and there's numbers in it and there's budgets. I'm probably going to be the guy, along with my buddy down at the end, Dan Alfonso. He's terrific, by the way, and the mayor. They're both terrific at getting into that stuff. But I absolutely get into it and ask the questions, generally speaking, that a lot of other people just don't ask.
Like to avoid.
Yeah. Okay. Well, not necessarily avoid. They just, you know. I have a different perspective on what makes government tick and how government money and people should be used like that. I think I brought a lot of accomplishments in my brief time on the city council. One I'm just particularly proud of. When I was appointed, I absolutely said we have got to understand the impact of tourism in this community. It's time to take a much more regionalized approach. You know, Bullhead City has their program, Needles has theirs. Obviously, Laughlin and LTAC and all that group over there has their own. We need to regionalize. We need to start focusing on the concept of this Colorado River Valley. This is where we live. Okay, it's a great destination. People don't really care which side of the river it's on. So I really was a driver behind that regional tourism study the city did. I have been pressing the city on an energy audit, okay, about understanding where can we improve. We now have a third party coming in. We've signed a contract with them, I believe, where we'll be going through and looking for opportunities to save through the red pen and through create opportunity through the green pen. That will definitely be happening. And then finally, one of the things I'm really proud of, a little controversial, the mayor and I co-sponsored a resolution that basically had to do with the role of the federal government and the city handling undocumented immigrants. And as I said in the council meeting, tough love time has arrived in Bullhead City. We need to understand that as this border and millions have poured across, we are going to get our share of undocumented immigrants. I understand the need to be a good Samaritan in some cases, but we are not going to use city money for the maintenance of an atmosphere that encourages undocumented immigrants to come to this city. I won't stand for it. And that resolution passed on a 6-1 vote, okay, and I'm really proud of that. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to take that same approach up to Kingman. The county is far more impacted by the arrival of undocumented immigrants, because now we're talking about county-based and state-based health services. You know, we don't have to offer that in Bullhead City. We've got some other problems, you know, relative to that, but on the county level, sheriff's deputies are impacted. economic development is impacted, you know,
Yeah.
and again, we want to encourage legal immigration, okay, legal immigration. You're welcome to come to Mojave County and Bullhead City, you know, become a citizen, do the things you need to do, join the workforce, join the community. We're ready to invite you here. Undocumented immigrants, you know, it's tough love time, and I fully embrace, you know, the need to expel undocumented immigrants, okay, and make sure that we take care of the people that live in this city and this county first, understanding there are going to be times we have to be good Samaritans, even to undocumented immigrants. I get that. Okay, I've taken a lot of flack over that. I'm actually proud of the resolution, and like I said, most of the council voted for it.
Well, it's one of those territories that you're not afraid to talk about. And
Not
I
at
think
all.
if people go to any of your events, they will find that you're pretty open to talk about
I am.
the questions that people are wanting to ask. What's the most common question you get at your events you've been doing that is like kind of like, oh, that's a rough one?
There are not too many rough ones. The most common question always is traffic on Highway 95. And you would think it would be other things, okay?
Dramatic, right?
Yeah, you know, a lot of people think, oh, it's small businesses or it's the homeless problem, which we certainly have one. Undocumented immigration, which I get that. The two key things I hear about is, what are you going to do about the traffic, and what are you going to do about taxes, okay? And if you are on a fixed income, if you're on a retirement income, you're on Social Security, I'm going to tell you that property tax bill is a big deal to you, okay? And it's a big deal to me, okay? This is the guy who is going to go out of his way to make sure that your money is responsibly used and spent, and we are not raising taxes. I won't ever say I will not raise a tax, but I'm going to tell you, I'm pretty conservative in this area, and I'm a small government guy, and I want to be sure that your money is used responsibly, and I understand when property taxes go up, that impacts people, especially who are older, who are veterans, and who are on fixed incomes, and those are the groups I am most interested in protecting.
I love that you talk about veterans. You know, a lot of our community is veterans and live on incomes like you're speaking of, and so it is important for us to battle and fight for them, especially up at the top.
I agree. We owe so much to our veterans. My father was a Marine, was wounded twice in the Pacific Theater during World War II. I get it, okay? I understand. And we clearly have a responsibility at a county level to assist our friends at the state and federal level and with nonprofit organizations to take care of our veterans. This is critical, okay? We owe them that.
What's our heart and soul?
Absolutely.
Anytime we get a chance to really sit with a veteran and give them the time to talk, it really is where our heart should lie.
I agree completely.
Oh, it's good. Is there anything else that you think that everyone should know about you? I'd love them to remember your name and to, when they're looking at those ballots, kind of be able to have a keynote that just doesn't leave.
Yeah, I think experience really matters in this race. When you look at the three candidates who are there, look, everybody, it's not easy running, folks, for county supervisor, and that extends to my two opponents. No question. This is hard on both of them also, and on myself. But I'm going to tell you, at my age, I have had 50 plus years of business experience, and I think when you look at the complications of running a county government with a $600 million budget and 1,750 employees, you want somebody up there who's been through this before. So I've worked for 3 Fortune 500 companies. I've been a small business owner for 13 years here in this community. I think I understand the need to manage these things properly through a good plan, through effective management of people and resources, and respecting, not only the people who vote for us and the citizens who live here, but respecting the employees who work for the county and making sure that they operate at their best and they're motivated. And I think I bring the credentials. My two opponents do not, okay, at all. This is 50 plus years of business experience, ideally situated for working in a county environment. I'm absolutely up to this. I'm eager to start.
Well, and not afraid to get into the details.
Not at all. I am a detail guy. Okay.
Which is important, you know. Some
Yeah.
of us like to close our eyes. I feel like you go straight in.
Absolutely.
Is there an event coming up where they could come and meet you?
Yeah, we're going to have a number of Mojave Armory over there by Lowe's on Highway 95. They're going to be hosting a mixer meet and greet on Saturday the 22nd. I may have the day wrong, it might be the 21st. Anyway, it's a Saturday at 12 noon over there, and we'll be publicizing that out. We've got, let's see, 4 more meet and greet / fundraisers / mixers coming
Talk
up.
about keeping yourself busy in this time.
Well, you got to get out. Not everybody knows me. And it's important to get out in the community, and word of mouth, I think, is critical. We've had good word of mouth on this campaign. I think the message is effective. This message, by the way, Christy, in my campaign, has not changed since day one. The same things I said at that first meeting at the Colorado River Republican Women's Club. Here's the notes from that meeting. Not much has changed on this list, okay, what I said I would try to do. You know, there's some things I've had to respond to and new areas that I need to talk about, but by and large, this is a focus on people's money, their property taxes, on traffic, on water, you know, the role of, again, undocumented immigrants in the community, you know, improving services for veterans, making sure we can drive our cars around without being in continual traffic jams, and of course doing my part, I think, to stop the transfer of our Colorado River water over to Maricopa County. That's another issue we don't even talk about, but
Yeah.
I'm going to assume anybody running for public office in Mojave County is totally on board
I would assume so too.
with the approach. So you don't hear, you know, Scotty, Grace, or I talk about that much because we all pretty much think alike.
Yeah.
In fact, I say probably every candidate running for public office, regardless of their party, understands the need to protect our water in this county and making sure it is not finding a new home down in that place called the state of Maricopa. And I will absolutely fight on that. No question about it.
So if you are looking for the candidate that is willing to fight for Bullhead City, for our surrounding areas, I absolutely believe in Rich, and I think he is definitely your vote. If you have any questions or concerns, you can meet and greet him at his many options that will be.
Yeah, we're putting them out on richlettman.com and on our Arizonans for Rich Lettman Facebook page. You'll see them there.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, no, I think we have 4 more. We may have a wrap-up party around July 20th, 10 days out from the election at one of our local restaurants. I'm looking at this one.
It's great. It's
yeah,
great.
This is a good place for an event, no doubt about
It's
it.
always important to shop local and support local, as we know, and
Absolutely.
as you have made mention, very important to you as
Critical.
well.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for showing up today. I appreciate you. Hey guys, you know, again, meet and greet. There's a lot happening. Don't be afraid to ask the questions. And again, thank you for coming today.
You got it. Thank you.
Have a good day.